And we are live on a Sunday morning. It's game day. The Detroit Lions are facing off against the Minnesota Vikings on the road. Jeff Iafrate joining me this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
How you doing? What's up with the?
It's a big game. All right.
You're
big
confident.
Game. Well, hold on.
I mean,
there.
Friday.
Hold on there.
Did something change?
No.
What the hell are you wearing them for?
Because listen, the Buffs. If you wear the Buffs on game day, good things always happen. So I'm not more confident, but I'm excited. It's a big game for the Lions, and not only just the Lions, but the Vikings as well. I mean, it's a big game for both teams, so I'm excited. And it's a first road game.
First road game of the year. The Lions have never won on the road with Dan Campbell as their head coach, so they're definitely going to look into that. But let's just recap really quickly what happened last week. The Lions absolutely took apart the Washington Commanders. The first half, 22-0. Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks. The offense got clicking. They missed a few deep shots downfield. Jared Goff, a few overthrows. That game could have been 27, 29, 30, 31. They could have been up much more going into the half. The second half, they did a hell of a job answering. When Washington came out, scored a few touchdowns, the Lions always had an answer for Washington that was pivotal in keeping the lead and then eventually winning the football game. So a win over Washington, their first win of the season. They're now 1-1, tied atop the NFC North. However you want to break down the tiebreakers, the entire North is 1-1 at the moment. We'll get to the Texans and Bears game later. We'll get to the Packers and Bucks game later. But what it means for the Lions is they got that monkey off their back a little early, right? So last season, Jeff, we sat here, did the show. Man, 0-1. Okay, 0-2. And then it was 0-3 and a field goal. And then 0-4 and another heartbreaker. 0-5, blowout. 0-6, 0-7, 0-8. It's difficult, man. You don't ever want to start a season like that. I think I'm speaking for almost not only every fan in Detroit, every fan base. Nobody wants to see their football team start 0-8, especially under a first-time head coach. This season, lose the first game. Difficult. Few decisions you question. You criticize the team on a Monday. Cool. You go through the week. You preview Washington, feeling confident in their chances of winning that football game after they dropped it against the Eagles. And they go out and they handle business. Jared Goff had 4 touchdowns. I believe tied now with Steve Young, and I'm missing Dan Marino for the most 4 touchdowns, 0 interception games, right? Or he's part of their section, not the most all time, but he joins them with 6, I believe.
And he's only had like a handful in his career.
6,
yeah.
Yeah, it was the 6th one. So he's coming off a very good game. There's a lot to look forward to today in general. You have Minnesota, the run game, what they're going to look like without Harrison Smith and Andrew Booth. We get an injury report from Maddie around 11:20-ish. Let me make sure. 11:30. We'll check in with Maddie, and we'll have the latest around the league injury report, and, of course, for the Detroit Lions. We'll get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, top of the hour at 12 o'clock. We'll go around the NFC North at 11:45, around the NFL at 12:15. And we are going to target who are the X-Factor players in today's game. You look at a St. Brown, you look at a Dalvin Cook, a Justin Jefferson, a DeAndre Swift. So much coming up. Thank you for joining us, by the way, everybody who's watching us live over at woodwardsports.com. Can't thank you enough. Jeff, big win against Washington. Carrying some positive momentum for the first road game. Walk me through Washington and expectations going into today.
So one thing I noticed watching that Washington game as well is you talk about the ability to make Carson Wentz drop back 46 times. What they did against the run, and I talked about this earlier in the week, it was night and day. What they looked like against the Eagles, what they looked like against the Commanders. Against the Commanders, you held Antonio Gibson 14 carries for 28 yards. He did an excellent job defending the run. I believe Curtis Samuel was their leading, I guess their average leader in the rushing yards. He had 1 carry for 21 yards. Other than that, they shut down the run, and they made Carson Wentz drop back 46 times, which, again, similar to what the Eagles did to Kirk Cousins. I mean, Carson Wentz dropped back 46 times. Kirk Cousins dropped back 46 times against the Eagles. Did not work well. Those two guys are very similar. I guess you can kind of throw Jared in there. If you could stop the run and make them throw, and you can allow your pass rush to get home. Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks. Charles Harris, a sack. John Comiskey, a sack. That's the key to victory, and you saw it against the Washington Commanders, slowing the run down and putting him in a lot of passing sets and just making Carson Wentz sit back there like a statue, and they got to him. So that's going to be the key this week as well, is slowing down that run, because I'll tell you this, Dalvin Cook, That's the thing that keeps all these coaches up at night. I mean, no doubt about it. We'll get into him and what he's done in his career against the Lions, but overall, Adam, it's got to be a similar game plan. You got to slow down the run. You got to force Kirk Cousins to drop back and force some passes like he did against the Eagles. I think he had 2 interceptions just targeting Justin Jefferson. Now, is Justin Jefferson going to have a game like he did against the Eagles? Probably not. But if you can force him and allow Aiden and these guys to get home, it's going to make things way, way easier. You got to stop the run a little bit.
You have to stop the run. This is a team that's given up 5 yards a pop right now, right? 7.5 yards through the air. Justin Jefferson, that is going to be a problem. How they're going to line up against him, who they're going to line up against him. Will Okudah shadow him the whole game? Will it be Ermanni Oruwariye? These are things you're going to want to pay attention to during the game. What I would say is there's a lot of, I would say, legitimate optimism in this football team. We talked about it heading into the season. This would be a pain in the ass team to play against. Nobody wants to play against a team that can basically run it on every single down, forcing you to tackle and tackle and tackle. Very physical team up front. Running backs have done a hell of a job. DeAndre Swift averaging 10 yards a carry on the ground right now. 20 carries, 200 yards. I'll put that into perspective. You open up a game of Madden, that's usually what you'll see. 20 carries, 200 yards. All right, makes sense. You're playing a video game. DeAndre Swift is playing a video game right now. He's unbelievable. And he's dynamic out of the backfield catching the ball.
He is.
And going into the season, it was how much you expected out of him. Would he be healthy? Would he be your X-factor player? And so far, he's been. The emergence of Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, to everybody in Detroit, let's be honest, people, we've all been watching it. We've seen it down the stretch. Last season, we knew what we were getting out of this kid going into the season. Boy, the fact that he's not only impressing everybody in this town, but now he's getting that national recognition just shows you the level he's playing at. The Lions do have weapons that can stack up with Minnesota's. You would ask me before the season who had a better wide receiving core? I would have been Minnesota by a landslide. Now, it's still Minnesota to me, but I think that gap has significantly closed. The relationship, the rapport Jared Goff has with Josh Reynolds, the work-in-progress relationship with DJ Chark,
right?
Amon-Ra St. Brown, those 3 alone, you're confident in with Jared Goff. Now, can Hawkinson get his head out of his ass? That's a whole different conversation. But going into this week and even last week, you're confident in what the offense can deliver for you, Jeff.
That's the bottom line. And you talked about the wide receiver core. For Justin Jefferson, and I think it'll be a little bit of both. I think it'll be Okudah and Ermanni Oruwariye. I don't think it'll be one guy traveling with him. But that's the biggest question, because in his career, Justin Jefferson against the Lions averages, this is ridiculous, 125 yards per game. I mean, in just 3 games alone, he had 182, 11 for 182. He had 7 for 124, 9 for 133. And then back in his first game against the Lions, he had 3 catches for 64. So that's really the big thing to look out for. You talked about Harrison Smith and Andrew Booth being out. I think that's going to help them a lot. But like you said, this wide receiver core, you got to account for some guys. And Adam Thielen hasn't woken up yet, and we know what he can do. So, and Irv Smith, another guy, had a touchdown last week, the only touchdown the Vikings had against the Eagles. So a lot of weapons you got to account for, but this is a good test for this defense, because now you're going on the road. It's not at home. You have, you're in enemy territory, and it's a good test for them to see how they respond to adversity. So it's a good thing.
Well, I love the word you used. It's a good test, right? And though that word test, Jeff Okudah will be tested today, right? Probably going to get another 85, 87, 90% of the snap count on defense.
Right.
Cool. And if you're a Detroit Lions fan, I'd imagine you are going to be solely focused when the defense is on the field, for the most part, when Okudah is on Justin Jefferson. That is a matchup I am looking forward to. I would like to see him up against Justin Jefferson. Now, you know how I feel about corners in the NFL, right? It's the hardest job in the NFL outside of quarterback. I think it's impossible to guard a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp,
right,
Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, the guy you're playing against today, Justin Jefferson. Impossible. But you're looking for flashes. And if Jeff Okudah can go out and have a good day, like he's had against Washington and then prior to that, Philly, boy, I think we're going to have to walk back a little bit, take a step back and say, okay, Injury concerns the first 2 years, never available, only 10 games through 2 years. When he was on the field, he never showed you much.
Right.
But this year, so far, so good. And that's a slice of humble pie I am willing to eat. No problem.
Get this, Adam. Jeff Okudah in 2 games, one against Devontae Smith, one also he was mostly on Terry McLaurin. Jeff Okudah in 2 games, he's only allowed 60 yards passing allowed. And I think that's...
How many balls thrown his way?
It's only a handful. I have to double check. But the point is, and that's another great point you brought up, because also guys are looking away from Jeff. And I don't think that's ever been the case. And I'm not saying he's a lockdown corner.
In the Washington game, I think there were elements of that. Against Philly, nobody can tell me that was a good shutdown performance when A.J. Brown was out there decimating your team, when they were playing with the lead and they were just handing the ball off to Miles Sanders. That one's tough for me. Washington, I totally give you 100% credit on that.
But his man was Devontae Smith, and he didn't have a catch, so that has to account for something. Ermanni on A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's just physically, he's a different breed. But Justin Jefferson, he is also a different breed compared to who Jeff Okudah's faced so far. So big test for him. And Ermanni Oruwariye in his career against the Vikings hasn't had a turnover in 5 games. So that's something that we know Ermanni Oruwariye, the season he had last year, 6 interceptions. He can do it, but against the Vikings, he hasn't done it so far. So again, big test for the secondary as well.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll take a quick pause. When we get back, the challenges the Detroit Lions face ahead of the Minnesota Vikings matchup today. We'll go through the backfield. We'll go at the line of scrimmage, really. That's going to play a big factor in today's game. Which offense has the advantage? Which defense is healthier between the two teams? That and much more in just a bit. But before we go, I will ask, Fletch, could you put a poll in the chat? Who will win today, the Vikings or the Lions? I'm definitely curious to hear what everyone in the chat thinks. Now, to be fair, this has been overwhelmingly in favor of the Lions both weeks in a row. So the public is 1-1 on these. I ask for more objectivity. Jeff, we'll get to our game predictions later on in the second hour of this Detroit Lions pregame show. My goodness. Fletch, let's take a quick pause. We'll take a quick break, probably 30 seconds to a minute. When we get back, the challenges the Lions face ahead of Minnesota. Okay, we're back live here at the Woodward Sports Network for the Detroit Lions Minnesota Vikings live pregame show. What's up, Jeff?
How's it going?
Public 1-1 so far. We got 110 votes in the Woodward Sports chat. 81% of you say the Lions are going to win. My goodness. All right, guys, have at it. I did make a bet, by the way, an irresponsible one.
You're setting yourself up to be frustrated.
I know.
Or you're setting yourself up to be very excited. I don't want to completely shut you out because you could have a great day.
We're going to get to game predictions later, but just to foreshadow this, I did make a very irresponsible bet last night. Well, I should say yesterday morning, excuse me. I can't wait. I can't wait. Jeff, the challenges Detroit faces ahead of Minnesota. We talk about Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. Let's forget the playmakers just for a little bit. Let's forget the notable star players. Where will Detroit struggle today, or where do you expect them to struggle against Minnesota?
My one worry is if they can't get home. What this passing game, I mean, because again, I have the stats, and I get you don't want to bring up star players, but it's almost impossible to do so. Let's just bring up Kirk Cousins, for example. In 9 games versus the Lions in his career, he has 19 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions. So say what you want about Kirk. Obviously, you haven't played him in primetime games, and we know what Kirk looks like in primetime. But just against the Lions in his career, he has a quarterback rating of 119.9. Well, like I said, with 19 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. So Kirk actually has been pretty good against the Lions. that's one thing. But again, they've been able to run the ball. Like I said, Dalvin Cook is averaging, a little over 100 rushing yards per game every time he faces the Lions. So the key to success for the Lions and the challenges they're going to face is what the Vikings are going to do on the ground at home. Dalvin Cook, his first game, 20 carries, 90 yards, fouls it up with a dud against the Eagles, and they kind of shied away from him. But they're going to want to get him going against the Lions. So that's going to be a big deal. I'm looking at this offensive line. And another crazy stat, too. Danielle Hunter, in 10 games against the Lions, do you know how many sacks he has in 10 games, Hunter, against the Lions?
11.5.
12. Very close. Think
Not
about
bad.
that. 12 sacks in 10 games, 2 fumble recoveries. That's going to be a big deal today facing the Vikings, is what this offensive line does, because we've seen them play so far. They've been excellent with backups in the game as well. Kramer, Skipper, these guys playing some time, Logan Stenberg. So now you don't have Jonah Jackson today. I'm curious to see who gets the start, but overall, it's going to be in the trenches. That's really where I'm the most worried. You have Zadarius Smith, and you saw what they did against the Packers week 1, getting to Aaron Rodgers, and you saw the result of that game. So the Lions are going to have to be stout on the offensive line and defensive line, forcing them into passing sets and getting after Kirk Cousins. Because if you run the ball, similar to Jared Goff, and they can establish play action, you're going to have some big plays for Justin Jefferson, a guy, like I said, who averages 130 yards per game against the Lions. So it starts on that offensive and defensive line, Adam. That's the key to victory.
I think the word we can agree with is don't let Kirk Cousins get comfortable, right?
That's for a lot of these
Jared Goff,
right? Carson Wentz, a lot of these quarterbacks.
Right. To be fair, you want every
Absolutely.
quarterback to be comfortable if it's your guy. But the point is, you don't want to allow Kirk Cousins, who's coming off an awful Monday night performance. Primetime Kirk, I mean, the epitome of him. 2-10 now in primetime games on Monday Night Football. But you can't let him get comfortable. You saw what Justin Jefferson and company did last season. They tore you up for almost 113, 114 yards. Just Justin Jefferson alone in the first half.
Yeah.
So there are weaknesses here for Detroit where they're going to struggle, in my opinion, is at the line of scrimmage. Not that they aren't capable of doing it, but are you able to replicate what Philly did on Monday? I like to believe they can. I like to believe that Charles Harris, Aiden Hutchinson, Austin Bryant, and company will come home and deliver a little bit, but you're going to need a substantial amount of pressure, and it has to be consistent to really throw off Minnesota. You know they're going to commit to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, slow start to the year. Kevin O'Connell and company, they're going back into the film room. They're saying, what the hell are we doing? We're not using Dalvin Cook enough. This guy is arguably our best player on the team outside of Justin Jefferson. And it's not even close.
I think he's the X factor.
And he has a history of dominating the Detroit Lions.
Right.
Why would we not use him? So you can expect Justin Jefferson to get involved, and this is a team that's given up 5 yards a carry on the ground. So this defense, look, it still struggles defending the run. This defense is giving up 33 points a game. Again, we're going to have this conversation every weekend, guys. My concern, and Jeff, you can tell me if you share the same concern. My concern isn't, can the Lions stay in the game? Can they keep up with opposing teams' offenses? My concern is, how many points is this defense going to give up? And how many drives are they going to be able to stall or bend and don't break or force a 3-and-out when they need it? Is this defense capable of it? Now, do you expect them to get better as the season goes on? You absolutely do. But I'm sorry, Dalvin Cook, that for me is the ultimate challenge. Can you stop the run? Something you haven't really shown you can do against quality teams that can run. Washington, not a team that's going to worry me about running the ball. Yes, they have Antonio Gibson. He's not Miles Sanders with that offensive line. He's not the threat of Jalen Hurts. He's not Dalvin Cook. You have a lot of work to do. The biggest challenge for me is, can you stop? Can you limit? Not stop. Very difficult to stop players that are that good. Can you limit? Can you make Dalvin Cook earn his yards to a point where it's not just free 3, 4, 5, 6 yards a carry, and then it's a 15-yard run, and then a 6-yard run, and then a 7-yard run? Can you force them into 2nd and 8s, 3rd and 7s? And if you can do that, now we're talking about the Lions actually having a chance this game, Jeff. For me, it's about not allowing Kirk Cousins to get comfortable. And the biggest challenge you have is, are you going to be able to stop Dalvin Cook when I can almost guarantee you he will be the focal point of their attack today.
And it's almost night and day. First, game 1 and game 2 for this Lions defensive line in terms of stopping the run. You saw what they allowed Philly to do on the ground. Not only Jalen Hurts, but Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. And then you saw what the Lions did against the Commanders, only allowing 2 yards per carry to Antonio Gibson. So it's a small sample size, Adam, but you're absolutely right. A lot of this is going to be dictated on the ground because we could talk about the shiny weapons. We could talk about Justin Jefferson, but if Dalvin Cook is able to find success and they could run the ball effectively, that's going to open up things for Justin Jefferson, for Adam Thielen, for Irv Smith Jr. So to me, I'm with you. I think it starts on the ground. And you talk about this pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson, right now, he's the most double-teamed edge rusher in the league, not named Nick Bosa. So talk about impressive. I think Aiden Hutchinson, again, going into this game, they're going to be trying to double-team Aiden Hutchinson, so you're looking at the other guys to try and get home and help him out in that area. But you're absolutely right, Adam. I mean, if Dalvin Cook is able to find success early, this Lions defense and that secondary is going to have to hold up, and that's just the reality. I mean, you saw in the second half what the Commanders were able to do. They scored 27. If you look at that box score and you see 27 points scored, you wouldn't have thought it'd be only in the second half. So defensively is always the concern. We talked about this. The offense is going to have to compensate for that defense, and you're going to have to score probably 30-plus again, unless the defense shows up to play, but you are on the road. And listen, they're going to go to the silent count. And another one of my worries is with two, I guess you can say inexperienced offensive linemen. You're going to have Dan Skipper. You're going to have Logan Stenberg. In Minnesota, Adam, with that silent count, do you see some more penalties? That's the question I'm going to be asking, because the two
penalties
games at
are
home,
going to play a factor.
They've played excellent, but it's different on the road. I mean,
that is always a challenge on the road. This is a team that has shown some discipline. What I would say is one of the challenges I see playing out very early on is we've been very complimentary of this offense, right? We saw the first quarter and a half against Philly. That wasn't all that impressive. Not ideal. Can the offense continue its efficiency?
Right.
80% in the red zone, tied fourth best in the NFL. When they get to the red zone, they are scoring a touchdown 80% of the time.
If they could do that on the road,
they will win this game.
Yes.
But again, that is a challenge. Not settling for field goals. And I'm not saying 4th and 6 at the Minnesota 19, you sit there and you don't take points on the road. But we had a conversation about Dan after the first game. He shot the team in the foot with a few decisions he made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Minnesota. What's the play here? Are you going to take the points when they come? Are you going to be a little aggressive? What's the tempo of the game? Do you have the momentum? Do you not have the momentum? Are you trying to snatch it back? I am really looking for Dan Campbell to call a perfect game here. No, nobody ever calls a perfect game. What I mean by that is I don't want to have to come in Monday and say, we lost, or you lost, or they lost, or this, that, and whatever it may be because of a decision. I don't like that.
Right.
Right? There's 60 minutes. You have a lot of time to recover. Having said that, though, not giving Minnesota extra possessions, not leaving points on the board when you need them on the road. Points are so important on the road. It keeps really the fans out of it. You're able to come out and get 3, get 7, score 10 in the first 20 minutes of the game, score 13, maybe 17 by halftime, maybe even 20 by halftime. Boy, Minnesota has a game on their hands. And we trust the offense. We like the offense a ton. But there's a lot of pressure, and that is true. There's a lot of pressure on this offense to continue its ways. Because, again, this is a defense. It's on the screen for you guys. It's a defense that gives up 32.5 points a game. It's a defense that gives up 7.5 yards and a throw. 5.1 yards a carry. Can the defense force enough takeaways? Now, you'd imagine with Kirk Cousins, just like Carson Wentz, we were joking about this last Sunday. Carson Wentz is a turnover waiting to happen. Well, you know what? So is Kirk Cousins at times. But unfortunately for Detroit, it's a 1 o'clock game. It's not a Monday night game. It's not a Sunday night game. So that is the tricky part. You're going to be able to force turnovers, whether it's a fumble, whether it's an interception. Are you going to be able to steal a possession? And no, not with an onside kick. Can your defense come up and make a stop? That's the challenge I foresee. Can this offense actually continue what we've granted, become accustomed to and very spoiled by. But boy, 34 points a game, Jeff. How feasible is that? Actually, what is it? 35.5, actually.
Right. And they got to get to their roots of last year, where statistically they weren't very good, but they kept a lot of these games close. And you're not seeing it. Well, you're seeing it through the first 2 weeks, but they're giving up way too many points. Like you said, giving up, what are they, 1, 2, or 3 in football and the most points given up. But I will say this. You saw what the defense was able to do against the Commanders. The Lions go for it on 4th down. They don't get it. The defense comes back, gets a safety. Like, they have to help out this offense if they're not able to at least extend drives or convert in the red zone. Because, like I said, I mean, even the first 2 games, the Lions they started out a little slow. I mean, against the Eagles, they score first, and after that, they go on a slump. They end up scoring in the second quarter. So offense has to get off to a start. They can't go behind. They can't get down early. I mean, that's probably the number one thing going into this game. You can't allow Kirk Cousins, like we said, that you have to win the turnover battle. Time of possession is going to be very important. Not keeping this offense on the field, not keep pushing your defense back out on that field, because we know what the defense has given up so far. I mean, like I said, I'll say it again, 27 points in the second half versus the Commanders. So we'll see. I mean, Carson Wentz, even without a run game, threw for 340 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. So we'll see. I expect this, and that was without Ermanni. That was without some players. So we'll see how they respond. But one thing the Lions do have for them, for Jared Goff's sake and Amon-Ra St. Brown's sake, is no Harrison Smith Jr. and Harrison Smith and no Andrew Booth Jr.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big bonus for them heading into this game.
All right, fair enough. When we get back, the injury report coming out pretty soon. We'll get to that at 11:30. Maddie will be delivering us her pre-game report. Excited to see that coming off in a bit. Are the Lions legit? And what will we be able to learn today about this football team? That and so much more coming up in just a bit. We'll return in just a second.
It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the smoothest vodka on the market. Don't believe us? Ask the owners.
We're Mike and Adam Kazanowski with High Five Spirits Distillery. We're in close to about 1,200 locations throughout Michigan. We wanted to create a brand that was geared more towards freedom, love, adventure, and at the end of the day, we really wanted to tell a story that inspired other people to take risk, follow their dreams, whatever that might be.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new Field House. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Maddie Miller here with a Detroit Lions pregame report. The Lions take on the Minnesota Vikings today in their first road game of the season. While the Lions have had several players on their injury report this week, they showed last week that they will be just fine. Dan Skipper, a star in last week's game, and Anthony Pittman have been elevated to the active roster. Jonah Jackson and John Cominsky are listed as out for today's game, while Aiden Hutchinson, Frank Ragnow, DeAndre Swift, and TJ Hawkinson all remain questionable. A few things to look out for in today's matchup. The Lions have scored a touchdown in 15 consecutive quarters, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. They have the opportunity to keep that streak alive today. Another thing to look out for, DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown lead all running back wide receiver duos this season in combined scrimmage yards and are tied for the most scrimmage touchdowns with 5. Assuming Swift plays today, they too have the opportunity to stay on top. That's all I have for you today. I'll keep you updated as news comes in. See you soon.
All right, thank you so much, Maddie. Maddie's out in Minnesota for the game. Should be fun. Can't wait to see what she has later for us as well.
That stadium is just gigantic.
U.S. Bank Stadium, I think is what it's called, right?
U.S. Bank Stadium. It's unbelievable. But the one thing she said, obviously she gave the injury report, but one thing that stood out to me is the Lions have scored in 15 consecutive quarters, and that's going to have to be
franchise
consistent.
record.
Franchise record.
NFL record, I believe, is 32, by the way, by the Patriots.
So that's going to have to be something that translates on the road to Minnesota if they're going to want a chance. You can't go down early. But overall, a lot of guys questionable, but again, TJ Hawkinson dealing with a minor injury. DeAndre Swift, they're limiting him, but they got Frank Ragnow back, which is a bonus.
Ragnow, Swift, and Hutchinson were questionable.
Yeah,
that's already been confirmed that they are playing.
Yes. Jonah Jackson is out.
Jonah Jackson is out.
Skipper
that damn
gets the
finger.
start. Yeah, the finger. And then you have Logan Stenberg in for Vaitai. So two inexperienced offensive linemen, but overall we know what kind of job Hank Fraley's done so far. So not too many questions. But it is on the road.
I want to address
concern.
a few players on this list. We'll start with Swift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same situation as last week. Questionable going in. He comes out, looks just fine. I expect the same today. Reportedly, we'll get more of a workload. Expect more of DeAndre Swift today. That's very interesting. You look at Frank Ragnow, very good to have him back. That's very ideal. And then Hockenson. He's received 7 targets in both games.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't looked good at all.
But you know what? I did go back and watch his tape, and you're right. But some of those passes too, it seems like it's the rapport with Jared and TJ, because some of those passes weren't the greatest either. So, but you're right. I mean, Hockenson has to come down with more of those. But I think it's more so just the rapport with him and Jared is off right now. And
if
I
would have told you before the season that St. Brown continued to emerge as a star,
right? That
DJ Chark gave you some accountability on the defense, right? You had to worry about him a little bit.
Right.
And Swift was the most dynamic back, arguably, in the NFL.
You think TJ would have
would think TJ Hockenson is sitting there like, oh, my goodness, I get a linebacker on me every single play. Watch this.
Yeah, he's getting one-on-ones.
He had the matchups last week against Washington. And look, I'm not asking for 120 yards a game out of this guy. I'm really not. But can we not have a catch rate under 50%? Can we see the Hockenson that you teased us with week 1, your NFL debut all those years ago? You have one-on-one matchups. You aren't being bracketed like you were last season. You aren't the team's only threat. Now it's Swift. Now it's the offensive line. Now it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. All that before you. And when Jameson Williams returns, then what? So I am expecting Hockenson to come through sooner or later. Mm-hmm. And this isn't just about the money or the contract. I don't give a damn. You have no excuse with the talent that you have, TJ Hockenson, not to go out and make a difference. And you want to talk about X factors, keys to the game, what the Lions need to do to win on the road. We talk about turnover battle. We talk about all this crap, time of possession. How about your playmakers step up and they win you a game? I've seen St. Brown do it. I've seen Swift do it. I've seen the offensive line persevere. TJ Hockenson, where? When? And it's not that he's not talented. He's uber talented. When does that come through? And you want to talk to me about the Minnesota game. 6.5-point underdogs. It'd be nice to see your tight end go out there and really bust up their linebackers. Be nice to see him bust up a few backup safeties. He has and such a great opportunity with this football team. He's got to come through and got to deliver. It can't just keep being St. Brown, even though I have him on my fantasy team now. Shout out. Made that trade. Feeling really good about that.
It's a good trade.
I give up CMC, Jalen Waddle, and DK Metcalf for Terry McLaurin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Derrick Henry.
I see you smiling.
Feeling good about that.
I like it.
Well, you didn't hear the news? Christian McCaffrey is going to be pushed out of bounds,
God, dude.
and his whole body's going to fall apart. So I'm trading him before he gets injured.
I can't believe I still have him. But to your point about TJ Hockenson, I wanted to look up his stats against the Vikings, and he's played 5 games against the Vikings so far, and he's averaging 33 yards receptions, or 5 receptions average for 33 yards. So he hasn't had his best games against the Vikings. He does have 2 touchdowns in his career. But Eric Hendricks, I believe he's questionable. I think he'll be playing today. That's probably going to be the player to watch for me. Is TJ hasn't played that well against the Vikings in his career, but you're right, he is one of those X factors for this offense because every week the Lions defense the opposing defense is going to be keying in on Amon-Ra St. Brown, but it's about the others to me. And you saw Josh Reynolds step up. DJ Chark had that touchdown pass week 1 against the Eagles, which was a beautiful throw by Goff. But overall, you're right. I mean, the rapport, whatever it is. I mean, you talk about even dating back to week 1, the pick 6 Jared Goff threw was a mistimed. He thought TJ was running this route. TJ was running a different route. So the rapport is just off overall. But TJ's going to have to step up. And historically, he hasn't done that against the Vikings. But in a big divisional game early in the year, it's definitely a must.
Fair enough. Look, I don't want to spend too much time on the what-ifs with these players. You look at Ragnow on the screen. That's somebody that you're very happy to have back. Excuse me. DeAndre Swift being available, that's always key. And you know what, guys? Your team is like this close offensively from missing an element that I think holds it back 15, 17 points a game from what they're at right now. And that's DeAndre Swift. You need him healthy. You need him healthy. Not because the threat of having DeAndre Swift out on the field. No, he is the threat. 250-yard plus rushes so far in the year, most in the NFL.
I think the Lions are leading the NFL in
most big plays over 20 yards.
Yep.
Why? DeAndre Swift. He is. It's not the facade of having him out there anymore. He is legitimately your best player and changes everything on a defense. Yes, would you be able to run the ball semi-effectively with Craig Reynolds and Jamal Williams? Yes, but you won't have that explosive home run hitting potential that opens up your entire offense.
Right.
So Swift being healthy is such a key. I really couldn't stress that more enough. I know they're going to bring up more of a workload, more touches. I've been pretty happy with the touches so far. Am I greedy also and I want to see more of him? Yeah, he's literally the best the best player on the field at any given moment. He is legitimately versus most defenses, arguably the best and most talented player on the field. Yeah, you want to see more of him.
Right.
But that comes with a little caution. And I think one of the big things with not only Swift is this offense loses a lot of spark if he's not in the lineup. So that is something you pay attention to when you see these injury reports. Swift, for me, arguably the most important player on this team right now.
And it's crazy to think the Lions beat the Vikings last year with Jamal Williams. They didn't have DeAndre Swift. I think he was like 17 for 70-something yards.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer won that game for
But
us.
no, I'm not saying that'll translate, but it's impressive. Like Jared Goff, I believe in that game had 3 touchdown passes, and obviously the game winner to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So overall, yeah, I mean DeAndre Swift, like the Vikings, is our X factor. I mean Dalvin Cook for the Vikings. Both of these offenses are going to be set up similar. If you could run the football, and obviously the Vikings have been able to do that. They have a rookie Darisaw who's been playing well. I think in his first 2 games, he's only allowed 4 hurries, no sacks given up. So that's going to be another thing you're going to look out for. But no doubt, it's this offensive line and how they run the ball. Because listen, if you can run the ball in Minnesota at US Bank Stadium, that travels. Like that's another reason why you can convince me they're a playoff team, is if they're able to run the ball. They did it at home. They look damn good. But if that can travel and you could do it at US Bank Stadium against the Vikings, listen, it's going to give me even more confidence, especially considering where they stand in this division.
Jared Goff, through 2 games, has a 58% completion percentage. For his career, he's 64. But he's got 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. The efficiency does need to move up with him. It does need to get better. But overall, I don't think anybody can say a damn thing about this offense and what it's been giving you. So
Right.
the Vikings have a problem on their hands. If I'm a Minnesota Viking fan, if I'm an analyst in Minnesota, if I am somebody objectively looking at this game, you are coming off an ass-kicking on Monday Night Football. Your team is going to be motivated in Minnesota. But that is not the easiest bounce-back game. I don't look at the Lions right now if I'm in Minnesota and say, oh, man, we just got mauled by the Eagles. Thank God we play the Lions on Sunday. Thank God. No, that's a tough game. And Kevin O'Connell has to have his team ready to play, or they're going to fall to 1-2. I'm not joking.
Yeah, this isn't just, I feel like people are saying, oh, it's a big game for the Lions. It's a big game for Minnesota. Like, this is a team that
It's
people
a must-win for Minnesota.
Yeah, must-win, period. I mean,
You lose to the Lions at home.
Oh, dude.
You move to 1-1 in the division. A division loss you were not expecting going into the season. Mm-hmm. You're 1-2 to start? Absolutely not.
And
Absolutely,
you're
right.
In their next 3 games, the Saints, Bears, Dolphins. So, and listen, the Bears it is what it is.
It's not getting any easier.
It's not getting, exactly.
And you know what we talked about the Lions and that whole NFC North having an easy schedule? Boy, you look at the teams and the way they're performing, those aren't easy wins anymore. Those aren't. And everybody in the division has to deal with it. When we get back, Jeff, we'll go around the NFC North. The Texans visit the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll get to the NFC North teams, what the matchups look like. We'll give our game predictions, of course. 12:15 in the second hour. We'll go around the NFL. We'll break down every single game, key matchups within every single game. And, of course, we'll give our predictions as usual. But before that, I do want to put up a new poll in the chat, Fletch, if you don't mind, on the Woodward Sports chat. Let's do who will rush for more yards.
Oh, I like that.
Dalvin Cook or DeAndre Swift. And that That to me, if I were to close my eyes, you didn't show me the box score, you didn't show me anything. You just told me, Adam, the final score is X team 31, X team 28, let's say, and the team that won ran for more yards. I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Whoever wins the ground game today probably wins the football game.
Yeah, gotta
so
win in the trenches.
let's throw up that poll in the chat, and then we'll be back in just a minute.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
And we are back live here on a beautiful Sunday morning at the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate joining me this morning, September 25th.
Got a big one today.
Big game between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. We actually just found out the Lions today are the largest underdog in the league.
Over the Jets at the Bengals.
Over the Jets at the Bengals. Well, I believe
wait, is it at
they're
MetLife?
home.
Okay.
They're home
All
to
right,
the Bengals.
that makes sense.
It makes sense. They probably
They
got those
visit
3
MetLife.
points, but still.
A little recency
Regardless,
bias there, but
the Lions are the largest dog, and I'm sorry, that plays right into their hands.
Right.
What were they last year? 10-7 against the spread? They're 2-0 against the spread this year.
leaving right where they
You're
left
taking
off.
the Lions with the points, number one. That is the automatic bet of the day. Take the Lions plus 6.5. I would be shocked if they lose by a touchdown. I really do. I'll give you my game prediction later on, along with Jeff. But I don't see it being a blowout. I really don't. Let alone a touchdown favorite. Absolutely not. Give me that money all day. But let's go around the NFC North. The Bears and the Texans. Jeff, I'll let you start. Darnell Mooney off to a slow start. Eberflus, I'm not sure what the hell he's doing with his franchise quarterback. They're not throwing the football at all. What do I make of Chicago?
Well, I'll start with Houston because Houston so far I think has been the most unexpected start. You tie with the Colts and then you play the Broncos, a close game. You lose by less than a touchdown. For me personally, I'm probably going to lean the Bears here just because I feel like they're in a more must-win situation. They're at Soldier Field. I still believe in Justin Fields. I feel like they're good enough as a team, defensively especially. They can take the Texans, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans beat them. I really wouldn't. But I'm going to give the edge to the home team. I'm going to lean the Bears. I can see a low-scoring game. I can see the Bears winning 20-17, 21-17, squeezing out with a victory at home.
Yeah, no, absolutely not for me. I'm sorry, I completely disagree. I think the Texans come in and steamroll Chicago. Give me 31-17 Houston.
Wow.
Brandon Cooks absolutely goes off. I like Davis Mills more than I like Justin Fields. I like Lovie Smith more than I like Matt Eberflus. I like a lot of things in Texas more than I like what's in Chicago. Guys, you know, we've done this before. The ultimate fisting will be done by the Houston Texans. I am going to predict they win by the largest amount across the league against Chicago. I think they absolutely maul Chicago. Yes, my hatred for Chicago has everything to do with that prediction, and I'm not changing it, so deal with it. Look, let's break down Justin Fields a little bit. Slow start to the year. They're not letting him throw a ton. I'm not sure why. Even when they were down in Green Bay, Again, this is a passing league. It's evolving more and more as a passing league. If I'm Matt Eberflus, you have to give this kid an opportunity.
Right.
Darnell Mooney to only have 2 catches through 2 games is pathetic. Cole Kmet to be non-existent is pathetic. For your pass game to be the worst in the NFL is pathetic. But you also signed up for this. Your GM did not draft a wide receiver, did not address the offensive line, did not sign a wide receiver in free agency that was capable of helping your young franchise quarterback. Chicago, you have everything coming for you, and you deserve it. So I share no pity. But Justin Fields, as of right now, Jeff, he's on the verge of busting. And a lot of it isn't to his fault.
Hey, yo. No, yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Chill out. Sunday.
You're right about that, though. With Justin Fields, and I'm with you. It's hard to, really judge. I get the Bears are going to suck. We agree. I had them at 4 wins this year. But it's hard to judge them because they beat the 49ers in a monsoon against Trey Lance, who didn't look good at all. And then they lose to the Packers, which, Aaron Rodgers is co-owner of the Chicago Bears. So that speaks for itself. So I'm curious to see what this team looks like against the Houston Texans. I mean, we're already skeptical about Matt Eberflus. Or Eberflus. Look at it like this. Look around the league. Look where, what Jacksonville did with Trevor Lawrence, what the Giants did with Daniel Jones, getting an offensive coach. And then there's the Bears coming right in, hiring a defensive-minded head coach. It makes no sense. My heart kind of goes out to Justin Fields because I don't understand the mindset of doing that, but we'll see. I think Matt Eberflus is about a year or 2 from getting fired already. I mean, I just don't like the hire, but again, we'll see. We'll find out a lot about the Bears today facing the Texans, a team who is gritty. They play tough. If the Bears can pull out a victory, it'll be good for their culture. But yeah, like you said, I hate what's going on in Chicago so far.
All right, walk me through Green Bay at Tampa Bay. That's a very difficult game.
Big game, yeah.
It's a great game on TV. Scheduled, I think, for 4:25. That is the game I will be paying attention to. Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur on the road visiting Tom Brady and company. Jeff, walk me through it. Who do you got winning this game? And more importantly, walk me through what each team is going to have to do to win this football game.
I think for the Buccaneers, it's going to have to be running the football. I mean, that's the obvious one because of what they're missing. No Mike Evans suspended for what happened last week. No Chris Godwin. Julio Jones is questionable. They activated Cole Beasley now to the active roster. He'll be playing. But still, I mean, you have Cole Beasley, Russell Gage, Cameron Brate. It's not the best wide receiver core heading into this game. So in terms of how they get the win, it's going to be playing good defense like Tampa Bay has been doing so far. Defense looks terrifying. And then offensively, you got to run the football. And I think that's also the same for the Packers. The Packers lose Sammy Watkins. He's on IR, which was really Aaron Rodgers, I would say, best receiver and most reliable receiver, his veteran receiver, out for the season. So you're going to have to rely on some young guys this week and Randall Cobb as well. So we'll see. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. They're at home. And I just think defensively, the Bucs are in another realm of what they're able to do. I mean, what they did last week against Jameis Winston and the previous week against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Give me the Buccaneers. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a close game because, listen, Aaron Rodgers, I think he's still going to have a decent performance. But overall, I'm going to go with Tom Brady at home with that defense coming out with a victory.
Fair enough. Look, I think this is a game. We talk about Aaron Rodgers. When are you going to step up and win the big game? Granted, it's week 3 of a regular season, but this is a very important game for Green Bay. It is basically even money right now in Vegas. And there is one thing Tampa Bay has shown they can't do so far to the year, to start the season. Not that they won't, but so far, there's no Mike Evans.
No.
There is no ability for you to throw the football.
No Gronkowski anymore.
You said it. Tampa has to run the ball to win this football game. I like Green Bay in this matchup. I think they have more opportunities, more ways to win this football game. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon out of the backfield. Alan Lazard, I love him.
Yeah,
I think he's a phenomenal wide receiver. Definitely underrated in most people's opinions. I like him so much. I really do. He does a lot of really good things. Aaron Rodgers, this is a game you have no excuse not to go out and win. If Tom Brady can beat you with a run game, and although, look, I got to say, Tampa Bay arguably have the best defense in the NFL, you need to step up and win this game for your football team. Give me a low-scoring game. I'm going to go 23-20, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers pull it out, Jeff.
And like you said, Aaron Rodgers, this is a big game for him. I mean, early in the season, how the division's standing up. I still have the Packers winning the division at 11-6, and then the Vikings right behind them at 10-7. But overall, Adam, like you said, I mean, you got to find a way to win. I mean, I get it. You don't have Sammy Watkins out. I expect more out of Robert Tonyan. I mean, this is a guy who led the league in touchdowns for tight ends a couple years ago, had the ACL injury, and you're hoping he has a bounce back. If you're a Lions fan, you're not hoping so. But if you're a Packers fan, you're hoping he's able to bounce back and have some good performances. But I don't think you're crazy. I think it'll be a close one. But overall, give me the Bucs at home.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We disagree so far on both games. I don't like this.
I like it. More bragging rights for tomorrow.
Look, top of the hour, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown emerging as a star in this league. Will it continue against Minnesota? Why it must for the Lions to have a chance, of course. Jeff. I look at this division right now. Everybody's 1-1.
It's wide open.
And you want to talk about the landscape of the North changing? It doesn't change after this week. But can we at least agree the landscape of expectation and pressure changes no matter what happens this week? Because if the Bears go out and lose, all right, that's not good for them. Home loss against Houston.
Right.
If the Packers go out and lose and Minnesota wins, well, now the Packers are not only 0-1 against Minnesota so far on the year, they're now a game behind on top of it, technically, too, because of head-to-head.
Right.
Oh, and if Minnesota loses and it's the Lions at the top, well, the Lions are sitting there 1-0 in their division, a road victory against Minnesota, and everybody else 1-2 in the division. Granted, does that mean they are going to win the division, or I think they are? No.
But they're in the race.
But it puts a lot of pressure on Minnesota with a rookie head coach and Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, who have no Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And whose defense really hasn't shown much so far, which we thought would be a top 5 defense going into the year. Expectations change, pressure changes. There's a lot of pressure on these teams to go out and win. In my opinion, notably Minnesota and Green Bay, out of all the teams in the North, have the most pressure on them this Sunday.
If you talk about the Lions making the playoffs, I think this game is instrumental, because if you're able to win on the road, if you're a wild card team, you got to find a way to win on the road. And this is probably their biggest test. Not only is it a divisional game in a wide open NFC North, but it's against an opponent who we expect to make the playoffs. So I'm with you. I think this is a huge game. I wouldn't go as far as say must win, but must win if you have playoff expectations. Like, it just depends. Before the season, I had them at 8-9. I think they could still reach 8-9 even if they lose. But you want to see them play well on the road. I mean, their first test, the team's going to face adversity. You'll see how they're able to handle it. They have more home games this year than last year, but overall, Adam, like you said, you're going to U.S. Bank Stadium against an opponent we expect to make the playoffs. You got to play them tight, because if anybody has playoff expectations and you're listening, this game is going to matter. Not even for Lions fans, but for Vikings fans as well. I mean, this is a huge game for both teams. And it's crazy. I mean, I want to ask you, and I know it's early, but did you expect the NFC North to be this wide open this early on?
Yeah, I did actually.
And this is what you want. I mean,
I did not expect. The one thing I did not expect was the Bears having a win. If you would have told me before the season,
we know that. You're Mr. 0-17.
If you told me Minnesota, Green Bay, and the Lions were all 1-1, I would be like, yeah, okay, it makes sense. It's 2 games into the year.
Right.
Now, 4 games from now, and we have a 6-game sample size, and you tell me the Lions are 4-2, the Vikings are 4-2, the Packers are 3-3, or something along those lines, I would sit here and admit, no, I did not expect that. Wow.
Because we talk about when should you compete for your division. If you're able to, and I'm not saying they're competing to win the division, but they're ahead of schedule.
That would be ahead of schedule if they are able to get to that point. 6-7 games into the year,
and
you're at the top or 1 game behind only, and you look like a competent football team, and your coach is really showing signs of improvement, you're ahead of schedule.
Right.
You're just ahead of schedule, and I know that is not a bad thing.
Yeah, doesn't take away from what they lack defensively, but
absolutely
overall,
not.
You're right. I mean, you're right.
Absolutely not. All right, let's take a quick pause. When we get back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got to talk about him emerging as a star in this league. Will it continue against Minnesota? 12-10, 12-12-ish. We'll get to around the NFL. We'll go through all the slate of games. We'll give our predictions. 12:30, can the Lions slow down Dalvin Cook? Well, apparently everybody in the Woodward Sports chat believes that they can. Cook, 24% of you think Cook will rush for more yards. The other 76 in a landslide win believe Swift will. I do agree. Swift has more home run hitting ability, but
he does.
5 yards a pop. Expect Cook to get 18, 20, 22, 23 carries today. So I'm going to edge. I voted Cook. I'm sticking with Cook.
I would agree with you because of the amount of touches he's going to get. I'm with you. I mean, they're going to want Cook to get established. They're probably going to give him, like you said, 20-plus carries. I don't see DeAndre getting 20-plus carries. The only way he leads this game in rushing is, like you said, the big plays, like he did against Philly.
All right, well, you're listening and watching live to the Woodward Sports Detroit Lions pregame show, brought to you by our good friends over at Swiss Insurance. We'll be right back in just a bit, and we'll get to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
Detroit's downtown summer playground is back. Open all summer long, the Monroe Street Midway. Enjoy roller skating, free Wi-Fi, food trucks, art installations, and so much more. Don't forget to take advantage of the basketball court, putt-putt, and, of course, family programming all summer long. All art installations are done by Detroit artists, and it's a fun, safe event from people 1 to 100. Go to deckedoutdetroit.com.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
And we are back live, 11:57 in the morning on a Sunday morning here for the Woodward Sports Detroit Lions pregame show. Your hosts, wow, not your whores, excuse me.
Yeah, excuse you.
Excuse me. Your hosts, Adham Beydoun and Jeff Iafrate. Thank you guys for joining us this morning.
Yep.
Over at woodwardsports.com. Like I said, the pregame show is brought to you by our good friends over at Swiss Insurance. Jeff, I have to say, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I fought very hard over the offseason to convince all the writers, all the staff, everybody saying this guy's not a top 32 wide receiver at the time. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it is.
And now he's emerging as a star. And I'm not talking, oh, he's top 15, top 17, top 18 if you give it to him, Adam. No, this guy is borderline top 10. He's a top 10 receiver in the NFL right now. There are very few wide receivers playing at a higher level than him. Off the top of my head, I would say Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs. He's off the top of my head.
He's 6th in receptions and he's 12th in total yards. But still, like, it's close. I mean, it's not like a big difference. Like
I understand, but
yeah. But no, you're right.
He is one of the best.
He's one big game from being in top 3 of yards.
When you drafted him, you didn't think he'd be your number 1?
Right.
We sat up here and called him, maybe he could be a slightly lesser version of Hines Ward. And maybe he could be your 2 for some games and when needed a 1 in the future. He's your 1 right now. He's unbelievable, exceptional, phenomenal football player. In the 4th round, you found him. Jeff, he's an emerging star in this league. He is phenomenal. Will it continue against Minnesota?
I think so. And we'll just take, people like to bring up Kirk Cousins in primetime, which is a very, very true fact. He's not very good. But look at what the Vikings look like in primetime as well. Jalen Hurts at home, 26 for 31, 333 yards. I get they were on the road. I get all of that. Secondary was terrible. They gave up, like I said, over 300 yards passing. I believe if the Lions are able to run the ball, similar to the Vikings, if you're able to run the ball, these play action's able to be established. Guys are going to get open. Amon-Ra St. Brown today, I expect to have another good performance. Now, can he keep up his consecutive 8 reception games? We'll see. I think it'd be phenomenal if he does it, but even if he doesn't, I still expect him to at least make some plays. I mean, you see it's Jared Goff's essential, really a safety blanket. because we haven't in this offense. It's crazy to think about this offense. As many points as they scored, I think they've scored the most touchdowns in the NFL. Not total points, but touchdowns. I believe the Bills and Kansas City Chiefs both have pick sixes. But for the Lions, what they've done without TJ, or really without DJ Chark. I mean, I get he had a touchdown in game 1, but other than that, I think it speaks a lot to what Amon-Ra's been doing, just in general. And I think he's going to continue that performance today, especially no Andrew Booth Jr., no Harrison Smith. I think there's going to be more opportunity for big plays. It's really just about Jared Goff being able to hit the targets. I mean, you saw the first 2 games, there were a little overthrown passes, just short on some deep balls. But today, I think they're going to have more opportunity to do that. And it's not just, see, we talk about Amon-Ra and comparing him to wide receivers. It's not comparing him anymore. He's just Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's all he is. He's different, and he's a weapon. He's not just a receiver, he's a weapon. You saw what he did on the ground last week against the Commanders. Ben Johnson moves him around in different positions, and they're going to use similar sets, but use him differently, which is what I love about Ben, just being more creative every single time. So, you know what, Adam? I'm going to go with, I don't know what the over-under on the receiving yards is. I would love to know, but I'm probably going to, for Amon-Ra.
I believe it's 71.5 or...
I think
I'll find it
for
you. No, it's 64.5.
No, I'm
pretty sure it's 64.5.
Let's just say it's 64. I'm hitting that over. I think he'll have at least 70 to 90. He might have another 100-yard game, but he's definitely hitting that over. I have faith in him today.
Give me 1 second. Amon-Ra St. Brown over on the yards would take 71.5. I was right the first time. Excuse me. So 71.5. I know because I bet on it. So.
And if
Dalvin Cook 77.5, I took the over on that. DeAndre Swift over under 50 rushing yards, 49.5 technically. I would take the over on that as well. Jamal Williams over under 38.5.
Ooh.
I would take the under.
Yeah.
So I like it. You know, I'm about to make another bet right now.
And if the Lions want to win this game, I think it's going to start with Amon-Ra. Like he's been the most consistent, he's been the most reliable, and the reason why this offense is one of the best in the league right now, behind the helm of Ben Johnson, is because of him. So, for Lions fans' sake, yes, he has to have a big game today.
He has no choice. I mean, he's got to keep it going. Like you said, he is the primary focal point of this offense outside of DeAndre Swift. He is everything to Jared Goff. Jared Goff spoke on it. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm comfortable with him. He's always where he needs to be. He's very quarterback friendly. He runs back to the ball. He runs his routes correctly. He's never short, never too deep. He always runs them perfectly. Amon-Ra St. Brown is that for DeAndre Swift. And if you want to make a comparison of individuals Jared Goff has thrown to, who would Amon-Ra St. Brown be compared to?
I just gave it up.
Well, I gave it away. And that would be Cooper Kupp.
You're right.
I mean, that's who Jared Goff has played with. I don't think Amon-Ra is Brandon Cooks. I don't.
No.
I don't think he's Robert Woods. I think he's better than both. And I think he's different than both, obviously, in different cases.
Right.
But he is what Cooper Kupp was to Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same player. Low-key, Kupp came out of the 3rd round. St. Brown in the 4th round. Doesn't get you 120, 130 yards a game like Kupp did last year. I mean, that was a breakout year for him. But, if you go back to early Kupp days, it's very reminiscent of what Amon-Ra is giving you. You look at the jet packages, right? The jet sweeps. Kupp did that all the time early on when Jared Goff was there and they were a successful team.
Right.
Cooper Kupp was the 3rd down chain mover. Cooper Kupp was a red zone threat. Cooper Kupp. We're having that same conversation about St. Brown right now with Goff.
And I think he's a better run blocker, too, which is just a sprinkle on top.
I wouldn't go there.
I
think Cooper Kupp is arguably the best run-blocking wide receiver we have seen in the NFL in the last 5-10 years.
Well, Monroe's right there. I mean, he really is.
I would give you it. Yeah. He's very good, but I think Kupp is at a different level. I mean, whenever we have a conversation about Rams running plays working, he's somehow always involved in it.
Yeah, and that comes with experience too. So I think Amon-Ra, it's crazy to think how valuable he is to this team at such an early age. I mean, for 2nd season already, to be the best wide receiver by far the Lions have, and his value in the run game. And not just him, I mean, the other receivers do a good job, but overall, Adam, I think Amon-Ra today, I mean, he's another one of those X factors. I mean, he has to have a good performance because there's a reason why TJ gets those one-on-ones. There's a reason why DJ Chark gets those one-on-ones. It's because of St. Brown. So I expect another big performance from him. But Jared Goff, He loves that man. He just, like he said, he talks high about him. He does all the right things. Amon-Ra, talk about that rapport he has with Jared. But on top of that, just the little things that, you want your receiver to do. Jared says Amon-Ra does it. So I expect another big performance from him today, no doubt.
Ooh, injury news coming out. Jacoby Myers out for the New England Patriots. You're welcome. Go ahead and switch him on your fantasy team. And anybody who owns the Baltimore Ravens defense like I do, hit the start button.
Yep.
You're welcome. I thought of you right away. I know you're on your fantasy team.
This is why I love you. I guess we're starting Lockett. Let's go.
I got you, baby. They ruled Swift out. No, they did not. Who's lying to me? You guys are lying.
No, don't do this.
Don't make me fall for you. I will never talk to any of you in the chat again. I will never acknowledge you ever again. DeAndre Swift. Let's see the latest.
No, he's active. It says he's active.
He's active. Who said that? I'm banning him from the chat.
Tom Pelissero is another one who confirmed it. I mean, it's all national.
Tom Pelissero confirmed it early in the morning, like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Guys, shut the hell up.
I was about to say, if there's no Swift, I mean, whew.
What is up with these adult dating apps? Jesus Christ. No one's interested. Are any of you interested in dating? I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not. Look, you know what? I want to pivot here before we go around the NFL. Are the Detroit Lions legit, Jeff? Are they legit? And do your expectations change with a win or a loss?
I'll start with the word legit. For me, a legit means a realistic playoff contender, a team that, not even a playoff contender, a playoff team. Legit means this team is going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't go that far. For me, I mean, going on the schedule and predicting them game by game, I had them losing to Philly, beating the Commanders, and then losing to Minnesota. So I'm on the verge of getting these first 3 picks right, but that just shows my expectations. I'm not trying to say I'm right, but it shows my expectations. I expect the Lions to have 8 wins this year, 8-9, possibly make the playoffs considering how weak the NFC is. I'm not going to say it depends. I mean, context matters. If they go and they sneak out with a win against Minnesota, obviously it's going to change my expectations slightly, because if you could beat a playoff team away on the road, that says a lot. I mean, again, it depends how they look too. If defensively they show up, again, maybe you have some hope for this defense. If the offense keeps playing like they've been playing, maybe you have even more confidence in this offense going forward. So context matters, Adam. But for me, I'm not going to say they're legit yet. I need more of a sample size. I think 2 games to say we can talk about this offense, but like Ben Johnson said, they got to clean a lot of things up. And it's crazy to think about it. The offense they left a lot of points out on the board, so on the field, excuse me. But we'll see. I need more of a sample size, but as of right now, they've looked, impressive. They've looked better offensively than I even expected. So that's the positive, but I need more of a sample size. But if they do win, Adam, depending on how they win, of course, it's going to, change your expectations slightly.
Without sounding like a pessimist or a negative Nancy, my expectations don't change, regardless of what happens tonight, or later on today. And I'll tell you guys why. Not because I actually don't believe this football team can't contend for the playoffs as a wild card spot, but it is very difficult. The NFL is such a week-to-week business. And when I'm not sold on your defense, which even if they go out and have a great performance, are you sold on them doing it consistently for the whole year? No, you're not. So we said it, 7, 8, possibly 9 wins this season. I think it was the expectation, and they look like a team that's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Now, do they need to get better in certain areas? They absolutely do. But a road win in Minnesota would not push me over to the ledge and say, division contenders now.
Yeah,
right?
No,
I wouldn't do that.
I'm with you, yeah.
And I wouldn't show up Monday and say, oh, lock them in for the playoffs. I wouldn't do that either. It's one, irresponsible, and 2, it's too early. Now, unfortunately, we do live on the flip side where it can look bad. If you get blown out, if you make a few awful coaching decisions where people are scratching their heads, somebody gets hurt, there's more to lose, in my opinion, than to gain from today's game. But that can only happen if catastrophe happens, which I don't expect to happen anyway. So regardless, basically what I'm telling you is Monday comes, regardless of the result, we're going to be analyzing performances, picking apart a few things we like, we didn't like, etc. But are you willing, and let's put this in the chat, everybody in the Woodward Sports chat right now, are you willing to say the Lions are division contenders with a win in Minnesota today?
And I want to speak on that, too, because I had them splitting with Minnesota. I had them losing on the road and then winning at home. If they win the first game on the road, it doesn't mean they can't lose the second game at home. And it still would be a split. So
you still have Green Bay twice.
Right. So I'm with you there. I want to ask you before, while the poll's getting in the chat, which you can visit woodwardsports.com and you can check it out. I want to ask you, because you said if they lose in a blowout.
Yeah.
That's going to change slightly of what you think overall.
It's
just
not
because
that it
of how
changes what I think. It is very...
the confidence level maybe goes a little more down.
The confidence would dip slightly, not so much unless there was egregious coaching decisions. Right? Because I know the defense is bad.
Right.
I don't need to tell you that. Guys, go to Google. 32 and a
Turn
half
on
points
your
a
television.
game.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you. You don't need to listen to me on their defense. We know it sucks. But there's bright spots on the defense, right? You're seeing your secondary emerge a little bit. Malcolm Rodriguez now, a 6th-round rookie. You have Aiden Hutchinson on the edge. Like, it's coming together. It's just not ready right now. But I'm not ready to sell my stock on this football team, even if they lose in a blowout fashion.
What if they win, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's just say, hypothetical scenario, they win decisively. Like, they win, let's say, 2 touchdowns. They put the beating on the Vikings. Does that change anything?
Is this an acceptable answer? If not, you can yell at me.
Okay. All right.
No, it wouldn't change my expectation. But we would have to have an honest conversation on a Monday morning about whether or not this team is a legitimate contender. And I think it's more fair to at least have the conversation than to come out and just say it.
Right.
Bold, right, with your chest out saying, oh, they're going to win the division. No.
Yeah.
But I think you have every right to have a conversation Monday morning about this team legitimately contending for the NFC North. I don't think that's egregious to say. What do you think?
No, it's not. I mean, look how wide open it is right now. I think this is, even if they don't end up winning the division, which I don't think they're going to, I think I still have them 3rd in the division. Where they'll end up, I'm still staying with what I predicted before the season. It doesn't change. I mean, you can still have confidence in this team moving forward. And if they beat the Vikings, or dare I say decisively beat the Vikings, of course. I mean, Lions fans all around are going to have even more confidence, because you look at this defense and you look what they played good in the first half against the Commanders, but the second half they give up 27. Like, that's going to be the big thing I'm paying attention to is this defense. I mean, I talked about A. Hutchinson earlier being the most doubled edge rusher in football, not named Nick Bosa. You got a lot of confidence in certain players, but overall as a unit, what are they, like 30th in the league?
I find it difficult to sit up here and have a conversation with you and everybody that watches and listens to the show, because I do my best to just be very definitive and give you a very straightforward answer. But I can't do that, even if they win.
Right.
Because both things can be true. They can win on Sunday and not win the division.
Yeah, they could win on Sunday and still have 8 wins.
And they can still have 8 wins.
Yeah, so I'm with you. Yeah.
So it is, again, the defense, I have a lot of questions about. We are not questioning the offense. Jeff, no. I mean, you want to talk about a home run take, you probably plaque it, put it on your wall, and you just let it sit there, was the Ben Johnson take back in October, late October, early November of last year. That was 100% goal take. 10 out of 10. That lives forever. We all know Ben Johnson, phenomenal, probably getting a job in 2 years. I trust the offense. I trust Jared Goff. He trusts his receivers. He didn't have that last year. He's more confident in the offense. You have a very good offensive line, even when they're hurt. You have a dynamic running back in DeAndre Swift. There's a lot here for Detroit. But that defense is missing 3-4 players still. Consistent, good to very good players before you consider this team a legitimate contender.
And you're relying on youth. I mean, that's the problem also. Malcolm Rodriguez has been phenomenal. I think he was the best linebacker last week against the run. But overall, it doesn't take away the fact that he's a rookie. Aiden's a rookie. Like, these guys are going to have ups and downs. So a lot of, we're banking on these young guys. Tracy Walker, to me, I know what he's going to bring. Ermanni Awarie, he's been a little shaky so far. I know he's dealing with that back injury. We'll see how he responds. Jeff Okudah has been a bright light on this defense. But yeah, like you said, I mean, this defense, you're counting on guys that are just young. I mean, you don't have Romeo Okwara back yet. So Alex Anzalone, I know he's been playing good, but overall, some of your most important players are just very, very young. So, we'll see. Again, you're going to have at least a lot of adversity. We talk about offensively. We talk about Ben Johnson. This is a big test for Ben as well. I mean, your first road game as the OC. I know TJ has been living up to his expectations. DJ Chark needs to have a game like he had against the Eagles week 1. And you don't have Jameson Williams back. So we'll see. I think it's a good test for him. But so far, offense looks phenomenal, even without them playing at their best. So a lot of big tests this week. I mean, defensively, offensively, from a coaching standpoint, a lot of different players. So it's a great game, man. And a lot you're going to find out. There's going to be a lot of answers today to a lot of different questions, and I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a quick pause. When we get back, we'll go around the NFL. We'll go through the slate of games. I can't wait. My goodness, we are live. What time is it? 12:15. Man, we're right on the money. 12:15. We'll be back in just a minute to go around the NFL. The Detroit Lions Woodward Sports live pregame show is brought to you by, like I said, our good friends over at Swiss Insurance.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man. Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
And we're back live here on the morning, or excuse me, God damn it. I am so used to saying that. I said it once last week. I hated myself. I told myself I wasn't going to do it next Sunday. Man!
You did it again. Yeah, you're getting used to it.
I do too many shows with you, Jeff.
I know, we're with each other 7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days. Not bad.
Are you getting sick of me?
I'm not getting sick of you, but let's go around the NFL, man. What are we doing? Let's get into it. We'll start New Orleans at Carolina. Yeah. God, forgive me for what I'm about to say.
Oh, no.
Please, Lord, if I do this one more time and they lose, you guys have every right to scold me. And Jeff, as a friend of mine, I expect you to never allow me to do this again.
Okay. I got you.
New Orleans at Carolina. I'm going Carolina. I've gone with them every single week. If they lose one more time, Matt Rule needs to be fired. The offensive coordinator needs to be fired. Baker Mayfield needs to be thrown in a dumpster and dumped into the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, God.
Give me the Carolina Panthers. I can't believe I'm saying it.
Yeah, you're completely wrong. I'm going to go with the Saints. Listen, I think if I'm Panthers ownership, I'm firing Matt Rule if he loses this game. There's nothing else you need to see. The season, how it started so far, what they've looked like against the Browns versus Jacoby, what they've looked like against the Giants versus Daniel Jones. Like, these are winnable games, and they just haven't been able to do it. I think Jameis Winston has a bounce-back performance. I think they beat the Panthers at home because I have no faith in Baker Mayfield and a banged-up Christian McCaffrey, which I have, by the way, in fantasy. But overall, I'm going to lean towards the Saints in this one on the road, and then hopefully they shoot Matt Rule out of a cannon out of Carolina and fire him.
It's time.
I think it's about time. You've seen
Kansas City on the road at Indianapolis. Indianapolis is 0-2.
This is
and their must-win game of the year is against the Chiefs, who are 2-0.
Man, they don't look
Jeff,
like they're being slowed down at all.
You get first at bat here.
I don't think this is impossible. I get they're at home. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look it up. Shaq Leonard isn't available again. Yeah, he's ruled out. And you have Alec Pierce, back from a concussion. I have no faith, and the Colts give me no reason to have faith in them.
He's called Shaq now, isn't he? Darius Leonard. You're talking about. I'm literally sitting here like, Did Jeff really just mess that up and call him Shaq Leonard?
No, it's
I forgot he changed his name.
Shaq
That's right.
Leonard.
That's right.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, man. I have no reason to even side with the Colts. Frank Reich, as much as I do like Frank Reich, he's facing an uphill battle right now as a head coach, and he's probably not on the same hot seat as Matt Rule, but he's definitely on the hot seat. And Matt Ryan hasn't looked so good so far. And the Chiefs coming off a big win last week against the Chargers. Give me them beating the Colts at home, I think, on the road.
Colts winless on the year.
Narrative? We talked about narrative.
I talked about Frank Reich getting fired before the season started, so I'm pretty biased in this prediction. But the better quarterback is winning this football game. I don't care what Indianapolis brings to the table. I don't care about Jonathan Taylor. I don't care that you have Michael Pittman back. Patrick Mahomes, night and day over Matt Ryan. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs win, improved to 3-0. The Indianapolis Colts fall to 0-2-1. The next game, Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo missing their entire secondary, Jeff.
Yeah, Micah
Should we be
Hyde.
concerned? On the road at Miami?
As long as they got that pass rush, I think that's probably the biggest thing you need to worry about. Because we talk about how much better any secondary can look if you're getting home and you're getting to the quarterback. The Bills have been able to do that. Back-to-back weeks, they've been terrorizing quarterbacks. Von Miller, Gregory Rousseau, they have guys on that defensive line. Listen, the secondary, I am concerned because you saw with Tua, and not just obviously Tua, but with Waddle, Tyreek Hill, the speed they have. And Mike McDaniel, this is why I love Mike McDaniel, because like Kyle Shanahan, they know how to put the ball, get their best players in different spots to get them the football. It's not always downfield. It's bubble screens. It's getting them, Tua, just get rid of the football. Get it to your playmakers. Let them do the rest. I think this will be a close game because I do like the Dolphins. I've had them in my top 10 since week 1. But overall, give me the Bills. I just don't see, even in Miami, a team beating the Bills right now. Like Josh Allen is, and I get Tua had a great game, 6 touchdown passes, but Josh overall has just, he really is. I think he's number 1 right now in the MVP candidacy. So give me the Bills on the road.
For the first time in NFL history, teammates combined for 10 receptions, 150-plus yards, and 2 touchdowns each.
And this is a big game.
That happened last week.
This is a big game for Stephon Diggs. He has to follow up that performance. Not having the same game as last week, but he's got to have a big game.
Whatever Buffalo does, it will not be enough.
Oh, okay. You're going with the Dolphins.
Last week, 10 catches for each Waddle and Hill, 150-plus yards for each, 2 touchdowns for each. Expect a very similar stat line.
I expect Tua to get...
The entire secondary in Buffalo is done. I don't care what pass rush you have. Good luck guarding Tyreek Hill. And the ultimate beneficiary of that will be Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle. They're going to absolutely maul Buffalo on underneath routes. If Miami gets the run game going, which I don't think they'll have to, look out. This could be a blowout. I like Miami in this game.
Tua's got to get the ball out quickly. If he does that, I can see them very much winning. But leaning with the Bills, man. I think Tua's going to get thrown around like a rag doll. But we'll see. We'll see.
All right, fair enough. Let's see what we have here. Next game around the league. Am I losing my mind here?
Go Ravens at Patriots.
We got Baltimore at New England.
Oh.
No Jacoby Myers for New England. I'm going Buffalo in this game.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, Baltimore.
Yeah.
The Ravens will bounce back. I expect them to get their run game going. New England has looked very good on defense through 2 games, only allowing 14 points a game. But I don't think Mac Jones has enough. Give me Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. You ask me which head coach and quarterback matchup I like more? Give me John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson over Bill Belichick and Mac Jones right
now.
Not
a great performance by Mike McDonald last week in that defense in the 4th quarter, but I think they bounce back. Listen, you're not going to give up 27 points in the 4th quarter, and New England doesn't have that kind of offense to be that explosive. You mentioned it. No Jacoby Myers. I think that's Mac Jones. That's a safety blanket. So they're going to struggle. I think the Ravens, Lamar Jackson has one of those MVP performances, and I think they get the job done on the road. I'm with you.
All right. Las Vegas visiting Tennessee.
Biggest game to me.
Raiders are 0-2.
Both 2-0
Tennessee is
teams.
0-2.
Yeah, big game.
Someone's season will be ending today.
Yeah.
And I think it's the Raiders. Derrick Henry and company will get the run game going. He'll go for about 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. They're going to be able to control the clock. I think it's a close game. 27-24. Tennessee walk out with a victory.
Yeah,
it's a must-win, though, for both.
It is. I disagree with you. I got the Raiders. I don't think, the Tennessee, they don't have anyone in that secondary to cover Devontae, number one. And number two, I think you have Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. The Titans now rule out Taylor Lewan, their left tackle for the season. He has a knee injury. Listen, Chandler Jones, they have a decent pass rush for Las Vegas. I can see them beating the Tennessee Titans. I just think they have more firepower, and they, like you said, they have to win. I mean, they're going to rally behind Josh McDaniels, but also the Titans know they have to win, and they're going to rally behind Mike Vrabel. But it'll be close, but I'm probably going to lean Raiders just because they have more difference makers. Derrick Henry is a difference maker, but I could see Devonta Adams completely tearing apart this Titans secondary, but we'll see.
All right, one of your favorite teams going into the season, the Philadelphia Eagles, visit the Washington Commanders. Jeff, go for it.
Yeah, the Eagles, man. I mean, you talk about the Bills and how they've looked. The Eagles are one of those teams this year have just looked really unbeatable. I mean, Jalen Hurts he's played solid. He's played good enough to lead them to 2 wins. 2-0. The Commanders are 1-1. You got Carson Wentz facing the Eagles. I think it's his first time facing the Eagles since he's left, if I'm not mistaken. It's at Washington. I think the Commanders bounce back. They play better. But overall, the Eagles just have too many game changers, like defensively, offensively. If they can run the ball like we were able to do against the Commanders, I think the Commanders average 8 yards per carry given up against the Lions. Good luck against the Eagles. You're facing a much more mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles win. I wouldn't say they blow them out, but they're going to find a way to win. I'll say by 7-10 points. I think they sneak out with a victory.
The Eagles walk away thankful that they win this football game 24-23. They do win.
Divisional game, too.
I do think it's a more difficult test than we're maybe perceiving this one to be. The Los Angeles Rams on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. Jeff, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Cardinals last week, miraculous comeback. Kyler Murray looked like he was playing Madden back there, chilling in the pocket, for 15 seconds. But I will say this. The Rams, this is one of those games, man, like divisional game against the Cardinals. They're struggling in a lot of different areas. Cliff Kingsbury comes out last week before the game and says we have to practice better. The Rams, I mean, this is a must-win. I have the Rams winning on the road, and I don't think it'll be a game like the Chiefs in the Cardinals, but I think the Rams, they do get it done. I mean, that defense has to play better. That's number one for me. The Rams have looked terrible defensively. You almost lose a lead last game to the Falcons, 28-3, and you almost lose that ball game. That just can't happen. The Cardinals will claw back and beat you. So give me the Rams, though. I think Matthew Stafford has his first clean performance. I know he struggled through the first 2 games, but give me the Rams. I think they get the job done this week.
All right, I'm going to go with the Rams as well. The Rams win. I don't like Arizona. Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray. I'm not sure what they're going to pose offensively that's going to be much of a threat to the Rams defense. No Rondell Moore. James Conner, there's always something with him. I think Kyler Murray is going to be absolutely eaten alive by Aaron Donald and company. If you have the Rams defense, I would consider starting them. That's my bet for the week, or at least going all in on the I believe the Rams defense wins them this game. I think they find their run game a little bit. The Rams have to have an identity. Right now, they don't have one on offense. They're struggling. Allen Robinson needs to be more explosive. It can't just be Cooper Kupp. A lot of question marks with the Rams, but I think they walk away with the win. We'll finish up San Francisco at Denver, Sunday Night Football.
This is a tough one. And listen, I know what you're probably going to say right now, considering how the Broncos have looked. But I will say this. The Broncos, I will keep saying this. Russell Wilson hasn't been playing exceptional, but they're really a couple coaching decisions from being 2-0. And I don't know if the Broncos are going to be able to fully click yet. I'm more confident in the 49ers. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say the Broncos win. I think they beat the 49ers. This is probably the toughest game to me to call. I'm gonna lean the Broncos just because probably I'm a little biased because I've liked the Broncos, but they've looked so terrible. But I think they finally click. It's a close game, but I can see the Broncos pulling it out. I think this is probably one of those cases of whoever gets the ball last wins. But it's really a toss-up to me. I'm probably gonna lean Broncos.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to agree. I think Javonte Williams has his breakout game of the season. Russell Wilson goes back to looking like the Russell Wilson we've seen in Seattle. As much as I like San Francisco, as much as I love their defense, I'm going to give the home team a 1-point win. A lot of close games this week. Yeah. This one's going to be, for me, one of the lower scoring games. Give me 20-17. 20-17 for the Denver Broncos. That'll wrap up around the NFL. When we get back, We'll talk about can the Lions slow down Dalvin Cook? He will be a key fixture in today's game. And of course, the game predictions, the Lions 6.5-point dogs. We'll go through the over, under, the spread, the money line, what you should take. Of course, we'll give our final score predictions. All that coming up in just a bit. We'll see you in just a second.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions, featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
New to the game or a season better? OddsTrader.com has everything you need to make the right bet ahead of kickoff. Begin your handicapping journey with OddsTrader. Improve your edge by finding the best price on every game from sportsbooks in your backyard. Take advantage of the numerous sign-up bonus offers to pad your bankroll. Dive into key game statistics, player performance, and even account for the projected game day weather. Best of all, you can use the OddsTrader bet tracker to keep a log of your action. Welcome to OddsTrader, and best of luck.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
All right, the Lions visiting Minnesota today. Dalvin Cook, I think, is the X-factor player for Minnesota. If he gets going, Jeff, he's had a slow start to the season. If he gets going, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to convince me the Lions winning this football game. Jeff, what will the Lions have to do to slow him down, and really can they?
Well, they're going to have to slow Dalvin Cook down. I mean, I mentioned that he hasn't played the Lions at least recently, but in his last game dating back to 2020, he had 22 carries for 206 and 46 receiving yards as well. Sprinkle that in. He had 2 touchdowns in that game, 9.4 yards per carry, a monster game. So, and again, Dalvin's been struggling at least the second game. The first game he had 22 carries for 90 yards. Didn't have a bad performance. But for me, Dalvin, you got this entire defense, your vocal point. I get it, Justin Jefferson, but by default, it's going to make things much easier if you could slow down Dalvin Cook. And you saw what the Eagles were able to do last week. Kevin O'Connell, to me, as a coach, and maybe he'll correct this, but they got away from the run very early. And a lot of that has to do with them being down early against the Eagles. But they'll be at home. The crowd's going to be with them. I think Dalvin has a bounce-back performance. But if you want to win this game, if you tell me at the end, the Lions, if I find out the Lions won this game, I would have to at least guess that Dalvin didn't have the greatest game. I mean, that's where it's going to start. I don't see them slowing down Dalvin and Kirk just completely picking apart the secondary and winning, having him drop back, especially with the pressure that the Lions have been able to get so far this season. They have the most quarterback pressure so far. So to me, Adam, it's going to be stopping the run, forcing Kirk to drop back, and letting these guys get home. Charles Harris, Aiden Hutchinson, you won't have John Comiskey, but overall, it starts stopping the run. And if they can do that, like they did last week against the Washington Commanders, because if you compare the offensive lines, they're pretty similar to the Commanders. I get they have more young talent, they have Darisaw, but it's not like they're facing the Eagles' offensive line, Adam. So it can happen. I don't think it will happen, but if you're going to beat the Vikings, it starts in the trenches. It really does.
I do agree. I don't see Detroit slowing down a guy who struggled the first 2 weeks of the season, a defense that's given up over 5 yards a carry. Dalvin Cook, I believe, will go for over 100 yards today. It'll play a big part in what I think will happen during the game, who I think will win this game. Dalvin Cook has always had his way against Detroit. Yeah. I don't see it changing. And let's be real here. If you commit to stopping Dalvin Cook, how confident are you that the secondary will hold up against Thielen and Jefferson?
Well, my point is it's easier to guard Justin Jefferson for 3 seconds, 4 seconds than it is 5, 6, 7 seconds. Like that's the point. If you can at least get to Kirk Cousins, You saw he'll make mistakes. I mean, he's like Carson Wentz. They will make mistakes. They will create turnovers for your defense if you pressure them and if they feel the pressure. But if you're letting him, if they're able to run the football, establish play action, Kirk's in a clean pocket, he's able to make decisions, be decisive, he'll pick you apart. Like, that's who Kirk Cousins is. That's why in his career against the Detroit Lions, 19 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. But he didn't have Aiden Hutchinson. So a guy who, again, I will say it again, I will keep hammering it. Most double-team edge rusher in the league, not named Nick Bosa. So that's going to be the big thing here. Getting to Kirk Cousins and making him crack, allowing him to make mistakes at him, because like you said, it's hard enough to guard Justin Jefferson as it is, but it's a slightly easier to guard him if you don't have to guard him for 5-6 seconds as opposed to 3-4 seconds if you're getting to that quarterback. So overall, it starts in the trenches, man.
Fair enough. I agree 100%. I do want to go into game predictions now.
Oh, here we go.
5.5-point favorites are 6.5-point favorites are the Minnesota Vikings. Jeff, walk me through how this game plays out and who you have winning.
This is probably the toughest game for me to call because the Lions offense has looked spectacular at home. Now they're going on the road, and you're guessing with how they're going to look. I have confidence in this offense. I think defensively, I'm not all the way there because they haven't looked good at home. So why would I have confidence that they're all of a sudden going to play excellent on the road? I'm probably going to go Minnesota Vikings. I think they get the win slightly. I will say 31-27. I think they win by 4. I could see the Lions being in it at least early, but overall, like you said, I expect Dalvin Cook to have a good game on the ground, and Justin Jefferson, if that happens, he's going to be a tough out for the secondary. So I'd probably lead Minnesota Vikings, but I think it'll be very, very close. I'll say a 4-point victory, and it might be a case of who touches the ball last, but just this defense hasn't given me enough confidence that all of a sudden they're going to shut down this Minnesota offense. I just don't see it. A lot of it's going to be based on this offense for the Lions. And I don't know if they'll score 30-plus again. I have them at 27, which is still a decent amount of points, but I have them losing just by 4.
32-28 or 31-27.
Yes, 31-27. Yeah.
I've got the Minnesota Vikings winning this football game. The Lions covering the spread.
I could see that.
Give me a final score of 34-28. I think the Lions cover late. I think Minnesota really controls this football game for the majority of it. I don't trust this defense enough to honestly sit up here and tell you, hey, the Lions are going to win this game like I did against Philly and like I did against Washington. Dalvin Cook is going to be a problem. You have not been able to stop the run. Dalvin Cook easily is the best running back you have faced so far this season.
No doubt. And you're facing the best wide receiver.
And there's Justin Jefferson and Adham Beydoun. It doesn't get any harder than this on the road. You've yet to win a road game under Dan Campbell. A lot of obstacles facing your way. I think the Lions play a hell of a football game. I think they make it close towards the end. But unfortunately, they are going to come up short. I have Minnesota winning 34-28. The Lions cover by 0.5 point. A lot of Detroit favored in the chat at the moment.
Well, I mean, listen. I expect it. Everyone's excited. The Lions look good, but you guys got to understand, like, this. It's that up-down theory in the NFL where teams have 1 week they play poorly, the following week they bounce back, and now
it's a tough week to face the Vikings.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about primetime Kirk, which I get it, guys, but Kirk at 1 o'clock on a Sunday at home. It's a different Kirk, I'll tell you that. And Justin Jefferson, I honestly would have preferred if he had a really good game against the Eagles, because then at least you could say, well, maybe he doesn't have as good of a game as he did against the Eagles. But no, he had a bad game. Darius Slay shut him down. I think he's going to have a bounce back performance. Although I'd like to see Okudah and Ermanni play well, I have to be objective. I have to be realistic here, and I can't see it. But we'll see. I have confidence that it'll be close.
I think it's going to be a close game.
I think they'll cover. I'm with you there.
Look, I also have a dirty secret to share with all of you. I mentioned an irresponsible bet I made Saturday morning.
The people are going to love this.
So I bought the Lions money line when it was plus 256. It's now gone down to plus 206. It could be in the 190s by now. But I did place a very irresponsible bet. My wife was not happy about it. I won't share the number, but it's a lot. So now it's back up to 225. So I bought it at plus 256. Let's just, long story short, you can do the math. I'll win a few $1,000s if this hits. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Having said that, I still think the Vikings are gonna win this game.
You're just.
But when the money is there, that's how I bet. I take the most friendly odds. I look at odds that make sense. If I think a team is going to play it close, the Lions very well could win this football game.
Right.
I have them losing by a score. But, road, you've never won under Dan Campbell. There's so many factors.
Right.
I did put a bet. I did put a bet on the Lions. It's my first one of the year outside of the Philly game where I had them covering.
And 2-0 so far against the spread.
Yeah, they're 2-0 against the spread. The spread has to be the best bet for anybody, let's be honest.
And Harley Brown on the WoodwardSports.com chat says, I think Minnesota will take this game, but they'll get them in the second game. And I actually agree with you. I have them winning.
I agree with that.
I have them winning at home at Ford Field, but yeah, on the road, it's a tough out.
I have the Lions going 3-3 in the division this year.
Me too. Splitting every game?
No.
Or 2-0 against?
2-0 against Chicago.
Sneaky, yeah.
I have them splitting with Minnesota. I have the Packers finding a way to go 2-0 this year.
Yeah.
That is my theory on how the season will play out. But I have to say, it's been a treat. Thank all of you for joining us here on the Woodward Sports Network for our Detroit Lions pregame show. Can't thank you enough, Jeff. Phenomenal job as always. Fletch, thank you so much for coming in and helping us out. We are going to wrap it up on that note. 20 minutes before kickoff, you guys go take a piss, take a poop. I don't care what you do. Go grab some lunch. Go get your chips and salsa. I don't know what you do on your Sundays. All I know is enjoy the game. Lions, Vikings, 1 o'clock. Both Jeff and I have the Vikings winning. Let's hope we're wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Regardless of the case, you guys enjoy the games today. We'll see you Monday morning live from Feldman on the Morning Woodward Show.
Be there.
You all have a great rest of your day.
Deuces.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.